language, and then immediately jump to 50 minutes of math, and then immediately change to 50 minutes of geographic knowledge. What it is that when a brain comes in a moment of really concentration and getting into information, it can take hours for the person to really go deep. And if we give students that hours, then the wonderful thing is that the result is much more, because they look at the topic from different angles, not just from one. Because if I study 5 hours India, I know more than if I do it 50 minutes. And so that's one of the big things that can really regularize the teaching aspect. But it needs a change in setup. ADD, hyperactivity, not sure exactly if that is a situation in India, but we know it in Europe, we know it in US. We have a neuroscientist, which I really work a lot with, a German one, and he clearly says, those diseases do not exist. They are created by the system. So I cannot say if this is exactly true because I'm not a neuroscientist by myself. But what we can try as educators and teachers, we can try to see if when we change the system, if something changes in the behaviors of the students. And that is what we can see, that in the moment when we take away the structures, these very clear and settled structures, and bring it in a new frame, then it's possible for those students to get good grades. And that is an amazing thing. We have a school in Russia. This school, it's called the Shetinin School. Maybe someone heard about it already. It was founded by a musician professor. In that school, there is no teacher. They learn by themselves. They are the #1 school in Russia. They never wanted to be, but they are. And the students go to the graduation 1 to 2 years earlier. They learn in about 11 weeks, 2 to 3 years of math by themselves. And so those children, if they come to such a school, are completely integrated. It's no problem anymore. Then we have competition and tests. One of the huge problems we have in society, especially when we look at the young children, and I would say education is similar to a diet, to a new diet that I want to implement in my life. When I do a new diet, I cannot see the change immediately, isn't it? I have to do it for a certain period to see it. And what we can see now, after 20 years of focusing on competition, we can see that the young people break. The self-esteems are low, and the countries who have been the first-class countries are moving towards an educational and economic depression. And if the educational country is set up in such a way that it is growing, like now India is a growing country, it's a developing country, it's a forward-moving country. Europe is a stagnating area. We are moving back. We have to work with the problems which we created in the last 20 years, also in education. And so that's the result. The way how education was done was not adjusted to the nowadays economic situations that we are facing. Same is true for US. And when we look at that, then we have to think about where to put our money for the next 20 years. If we put it in arranging education in such a way that we can create a future for our young people, or if we go ahead stagnating and focusing only on competition and tests. Competition and tests breaks students.